the most useful thing he could do for them. He was so caught up in this uneasy imagining as he wove through the room that he collided hard with another person's shoulder. Matti was both tall and broad, not easily unbalanced. The unfortunate other member of the collision made a grab for Matti's coat, couldn't get a good grip and tripped to the ground with a caught back fuck. Matti tried to step backwards. They were crammed into a small space between tables and there were people moving around them. His first panicked instinct had been to keep the wine bottle upright and the glasses safe, so he didn't have a hand free to steady himself on a chair. He wasn't quite sure what happened next, except that he ended up wobbling and stepping forward instead, and he felt his boot come down on something that was not the floorboards. A small, pathetic, grinding mechanical sound crawled up Matti's nerves, heel to head, and reached his ears even amidst the noise of the busy room. "Sorry," he said at once. "I'm sorry, was that... Oh, Una's teeth!" The man on the floor jerked his head up, staring at Matti, and Matti stared back. For a moment, all that Matti could see was the wide, straight line of the man's mouth, set beneath an equally straight nose and the frame that set off the hole, the dark, luminous copper-red hair that seemed to be trying to grow in about 10 different directions. The man's tongue darted out in a nervous mannerism, wetting his lower lip. Something in Matti's own mouth tried to happen in a yearning echo. "Would you please lift," the man said precisely, "your goddamned foot." Heat flooded Matti's face. He snatched his foot backwards with enough force that his heel collided with a chair leg. The red-headed man stood, his fingers closed convulsively tight around a small velvet bag. His brown coat was shabby and made of a coarsely woven fabric, though his shirt was good, and his trousers had probably been equally so before they'd been overwashed into a patchy shine. Fuck, shitting, fuck, the man said in tones of despair, with a lilt to his accent that placed him at least one city-state farther east, Cien, or possibly Sonoy. He shook the contents of the bag into his palm and ventured into new realms of inappropriate language as he did so. Enough people had witnessed their collision, or had their heads turned by the stream of expletives, that there were a fair few necks craning to see what was in the man's hand. Matti, at whom the shaking fingers of this hand were pointed most directly, couldn't help seeing for himself the ragged, glinting pile of cogs and jewels and glass. Only the intact cover, monogrammed in a swirling engraved H, spoke of this pile's previous existence as a pocket watch, a very expensive pocket watch by the look of it. The man's breath hissed out through his teeth. Guildmaster Havelot is going to use my arm bones as a fucking lathe. He only had it made to order and he only trusted me to pick it up, didn't he? 200 gold fucking fuck! "I'm so sorry," Matti said again. He recognised the name. Havelot was the woodworker guildmaster in Cien. "Truly, I can..." He stopped. The abrupt lack of his words created a silence that seemed to suck noise into itself as conversations died to murmurs and the onlookers sensed something interesting. The man looked straight at Matti with a stubborn lift of his chin. His brows, the same absurd colour as the rest of his hair, had sprung up into the beginnings of hope. As Matti's silence grew longer, they lowered again, and then lowered farther. He swept a look down and then slowly up Matti's own outfit. And now pride warred with scorn in the way those maddening lips pressed together. Matti felt sick. His own coat was made of the finest wool, a midnight blue cut perfectly to his figure, and the rest of his clothes were of the same quality. He was holding a bottle of extremely good wine. Anybody looking at him would make immediate assumptions about the amount of ready money that Matti might have, and the ease with which he would be able to reimburse a poor clerk if he just ruined a pricey piece of artificer's skill that the man's employer had trusted him to travel all the way to Glassport to collect. Of course they would make these assumptions. That was the point. Matti swallowed and felt the burning heaviness of his purse redouble. He'd be left with enough to hire a duellist, yes, but not one of the highest skill. It wouldn't buy himself and his family the absolute security they needed. His friends were looking at him. It seemed like every pair of eyes in the drinking house was looking, and in another moment, the murmurs of curiosity would turn to murmurs of disapprobation. I thought Mattinesh Jay had...